Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Be Quranic. Today is Tuesday, the 12th of Sha'ban. Sha'ban is a great month for us to fast because Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam would fast in more days in the month of Sha'ban compared to any other month of the year, except for Ramadan. Because Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that this is the month that our deeds are lifted and presented to Allah annually. So this is an annual presentation, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved that his deeds are presented while he is fasting. So tomorrow is the 13th of Sha'ban. 13th, 14th and 15th of any lunar month, except for Ramadan. These days are known as the white days. White days because the nights are going to be bright, full moon. And it is a sunnah for us to fast on white days in any other month except for Ramadan. Ramadan, it's compulsory for us to fast the entire month. So in Sha'ban, the white days, you can fast with dual intention. For tomorrow, if you're fasting tomorrow, intend to fast for Sha'ban, intend to fast for white days. So you get double the reward. On Thursday, which is going to be the 14th of Sha'ban, intend to fast for Sha'ban, for white days and Thursday. 3 intentions, 1 act, 3 reward. So that's how we power up our reward in our acts of worship. All right, so now today is Tuesday. That means it is going to be Tajweed Tuesday. Tajweed Tuesday means we're going to go through some theory of Tajweed and then practical Tajweed through the surah that we are reading, Surah ar-Rahman. All right, now let's get started with the theory of Tajweed. Tajweed essentially means to beautify. So we are beautifying our recitation. And then you have the technical meaning of Tajweed. It is knowing the rules of the letters. So how to pronounce each letters and what happens when this letter meets this letter and when do you elongate and so on. And also knowing rules of letters and points of waqaf, or where do you stop when you read the Quran, because changing where you stop and start may alter the meaning of what you are reading. For instance, if you say let's eat grandma, if you have a comma, let's eat grandma, that means you're inviting grandma to a meal. But if you say let's eat grandma, then it means that you're going to eat grandma. Grandma is the menu. So stopping, pausing, continuing changes meaning. So Tajweed is to beautify our reading, and it's also knowing the rules of the letters and points of stopping and starting. That is the meaning. And when it comes to learning Tajweed, our main aim is to avoid making errors. What are the type of errors? There are 2 types of errors. One which is called jelly. These are or major mistakes. Major mistakes relate to mistakes that will change the meaning. And what are the types of jelly mistakes? The type of jelly mistakes are changing or adding letters. So if you change a letter to another letter, if you change dot to a dal, you change a dhal to a zay, you change a sin to a tha or tha to a sin, it changes its meaning, it becomes a jelly mistake. Or another type of jelly mistake is changing the harakat. So if you read fathah with a kasra or kasra with a dhamma, those are major mistakes that would change the meaning. And when it comes to jelly mistakes, it will affect its meaning, affect the meaning of what you are reading. If you're doing it purposely, it's a sin. If you are still learning, you're struggling to learn, you're still in the process, then it is okay to make jelly mistake, as long as you know it's a mistake and you are progressing, you're trying to improve yourself. But if you know and you purposely make the mistake, then it is a sin, it is haram. If you are making a jelly mistake in recitation of Fatiha, it affects the validity of your prayer. And if you have jelly mistakes in Fatiha, you should not lead prayer in the presence of someone who knows the Tajweed well. So that's one jali type of error, which we call jali. And then we have another one which we call khafi. Khafi mistakes are minor errors. Minor errors that changes that doesn't change the meaning of what you are reading, but affects the beauty of your recitation. So these are it may be changing the characters or attributes of some letters. It's not 100% accurate. It doesn't change to another letter, but you're not doing it accurately. You have the length of mad. So some mad has to be 4 harakat, some has to be 6 harakat. You change the length of the mad. It is a mistake, but it doesn't affect the validity of your Fatiha. If it's in prayers, it doesn't change the meaning. And then you also have the nasal sound or the ghunna. These are also minor errors. All right. So now that we've known the meaning and we've known the types of errors that we want to avoid, we really want to avoid jali mistakes. So that's priority. And then if there is no jali mistakes, when it comes to khafi mistakes, you can lead prayer. It would be best to find someone who can lead without many khafi mistakes, but it's valid to pray behind someone who has khafi mistakes in his Fatiha. Now, let's look at the first rule that we're going to learn today. It's going to be a very simple one, which is called mad asli, or the foundation. Mad means to elongate, asli means foundation. So this is the foundation mad. Or mad tabi'i. Mad tabi'i is also the natural mad. And this is crucial because missing a mad asli, if you don't read it with a mad, it changes the meaning, because this means that you're subtracting a letter from your recitation, and it can be disastrous in terms of its meaning. What are the letters of mad asli? Mad asli has 3 letters, and the letters are alif, waw, and ya. And these are the letters. And when does it become mad asli? Mad asli becomes mad asli when the letters alif, waw, or ya are in the state of sakin. That means it is a sukun. I mean, generally in the Medina Mus'haf, it is written with no signages on it. It's just empty on top of it. But it is a sukun. But the letter before it is important. The letter before alif must be a fathah. The letter before waw must be a dhamma, and the letter before ya is a sukun. Let's take a look at an example, and the formula to remember mad asli is nuhiha. All right, so nuhiha. Look at the waw, before it is a dhamma, ya before it is a kasra, and alif before it is a fatha. So nuhiha. Just remember, this is the formula to help you to remember the mad asli. And how long do you read it? You read it with 2 harakat. What is the harakat? Harakat is tempo. It depends on how fast or how slow that you read. What is one letter? The length of one letter when you pronounce it. So if you were to read Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, so that is 1 harakat. That means 2 harakat will be double that. Bismillahi, because your bis is low. But if you were to read it slightly faster, you go Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So you see the tempo is faster, therefore the harakat will also be faster. It's not time based, it is tempo based. So if you are a musician, then you have the metronome when you are playing your instrument and you're singing to keep the tempo. That tempo is a harakat. So mad asli, you read it with 2 harakat. Why do I say that mad asli can seriously affect whatever that you are reading in terms of its meaning? Because sometimes if you were to read this word, La tadhab, this means don't go. But if you were to read it this way, La tadhab, surely you will go. So one saying you will not go, another one saying surely you will go. So the difference in mad, la tadhhab and la tadhhab, will have very, very different meaning. Alright, that's the theory of Tajweed today. We are learning the meaning of Tajweed, the errors, types of errors, and this is why it's important for us to learn Tajweed. And then we have learned Mad Asli, our first rule of this season. Let's go into practice and read Surah ar-Rahman. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Alright, few common mistakes when people are reading isti'adha, a'udhu billah. Number one, we should always recite isti'adha. It is a recommendation in the Quran. When we are reading the Quran, we start reading the Quran, start by seeking Allah's protection. Isti'adha, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. You start it when you are beginning to recite the ayah. If you are reading in a group, the first person reading will read isti'adha and just continue. Not you don't have to read isti'adha for every single person. The first person will read isti'adha. If you read so isti'adha is recited at the beginning of the recitation. Common errors in isti'adha is a'u. It is not au. It's not au. It's a alif. The hamzah there. A'u. Constriction. A'u. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله بسم الله bis. Make sure that you complete the bis. It's not Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bis. It's not bis. It's bis. It is a complete harakat. Kasra. Bis. Bismillah. La is two harakat. Bismillahir Rahman. Ma, look at this alif here, the small alif there. This is a mad asli, two harakat. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. At the end here, we've spoken about this in the first season, Surah Al-Mulk, the past season, Surah Al-Mulk. This is mad arid al-sukun. It comes at the end of the ayah. We read it with 4 harakat. We're going to look into the theory of this, but for now, at the end of the ayah, if you see a mad and an extra letter after that, we read it with 4 harakat. First ayah. Ar-Rahman. Alright, now the ra is an interesting ra. The Arabic ra is different from the English r. The English r, your letter is more curled inside. R. So you will say rabbit. But in Arabic, your tongue is more forward. You will not say rabbit. For an Arab, you will say rabbit. The way that the R is a rolling R. You can roll it, but you don't roll it. You don't say ar-Rahman, but you can if you want to push it. But the correct way is put your tongue where you can roll it, but don't roll it. So it's ar-Rahman. Remember, this is ha. It's like you eating something spicy. Ar-Rahman. Alright, this is, if you continue, it will be mad asli, but because you're stopping, you read it with 4 harakat. Ar-Rahman. Allama al-Qur'an. Same point with ha. It's not allama al-Qur'an, it's allama al-Qur'an. Qur'an. 4 harakat. خلق الإنسان. خلق الإنسان. خلق. It's not خلق, it's خلق, because kha is a thick letter, qaf is a thick letter, lam is not. Lam is a light letter, it's not heavy. خلق. Look at the noon. There is nothing on top of the noon. That means this is a merging noon. You're merging it with seen. How do you read the merging with seen? Place your tongue and prepare your mouth to pronounce the letter seen. As. And then read through the noon sakin and with the ghunna. Insan. 2 harakat at the ghunna there. San here. 4 harakat. علمه البيان. Again, bayan, 4 harakat. الشمس والقمر بحسبان. here 4 harakat. وَالنَّجْمُ the noon here with the shadda on top of it, you read it with 2 harakat ghunnah. وَالنَّجْمُ Jim here is a bouncing letters. There are 5 letters that you would bounce. Qaf, Ta, Ba, Jim and Dal. You would bounce the letters, not one najmu, one naj, bounce it. وَالنَّجْمُ وَالشَّجَرُ يَسْجُدَانِ Dan 4 harakat. وَالسَّمَاء you see this wavy sign, this is also 4 harakat. You see that wavy sign, you read it 4. Unless there is an exception that is not applicable here, we will deal with that exception when we find it. But when you see a wavy sign, you read it with 4 harakat. وَالسَّمَاءَ رَفَعَهَا Ha is mad asli. See, this is alif and the fathah before it. That means it is mad asli. We read it with 2 harakat. وَوَضَعَ Mi ya sukun, and before it is a kasrah. That means it's also 2 harakat. Zan, this is 4 harakat because it's at the end of an ayah. Alright, so that is the first 7 ayah of Surah ar-Rahman. Let's recite the entire surah again together. Begin with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. You recite the Bismillah at the beginning of a surah. If you're beginning at the middle of a surah, you begin with A'udhu Billah. At the beginning of the surah, you begin with A'udhu Billah and Bismillah. At the middle of the surah, you begin with A'udhu Billah. Alright, let's read together and focus on the Tajweed rules. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان. Alright, I'll see you on Thursday for Tafsir Thursday. In the meantime, don't forget to practice the first 7 ayat of Surah ar-Rahman.